I've had every vaccine, including vaccines probably that other people haven't had as a surgeon, extra ones. I've had both of my doses of the Pfizer vaccine, so I am in no way anti-vax. My children have had all their childhood vaccines up to and including HPV. The difference with all those childhood vaccines so far is that they're all conditions that children can get either severe consequences or even death from. For COVID, children really do not suffer any severe consequences. And all medical treatment is a balance for the individual of the risks of a treatment versus the benefits. And I would say for children, there is almost no benefit from this vaccine. We already have herd immunity in this country. All adults that want a jab will soon be able to get one, and it's their responsibility to take that. It does not need to be extended to children. It is still under investigation for safety for the next 2 years. It only has an emergency use license.
Yes, but the thing is, we're still in this crisis, and it's partly because as we come out of lockdown, more and more young people are getting it. And it's not just about the individual, is it? Because it's about the child getting it and spreading it.
Mm-hmm. There is very, very little evidence for that. There's a large study from Warwick by Mike Pilsley that looked at the spread between children in schools and the spread from children to teachers. And they concluded that there was no evidence for spread amongst children. It may well be that because children get such a more mild disease and they have such a small viral load, it's more difficult for them to pass it on. But anyway, is it ethical for us to say children should be vaccinated in order to protect adults that have the right to have their own vaccination?
A parent will have to say, Sarah, is it worth a small risk of my child dying versus being protected against a disease they won't get? That's fundamentally it, isn't it?
Well, it's a disease they won't get. They are highly unlikely to get seriously ill, and that is absolutely right. But the first thing we have to bear in mind is that actually when children are vaccinated, the vast majority of vaccinations they have are to protect them. So mumps, measles, tetanus, polio. However, for instance, in MMR, you have rubella, the rubella element of it, and that is actually to protect pregnant women. It is not to protect the children themselves. When we vaccinate against flu, you're doing it to protect older, vulnerable people in the population as well as protecting yourself. And with children, while they may not die, there's recent data that's come out suggesting that 13% of under 11s and about 15% of 12 to 16-year-olds is developing long COVID, if you define it as having symptoms at least 5 weeks after a confirmed COVID infection. We do know that younger children, and those figures that were quoted about children not passing the virus on, came from the original version. What we saw once we got the Alpha variant, which was first identified in Kent, and what is highly likely from the latest figures we've got from the Delta variant, first identified in India, is that older children in particular are passing it on. And indeed, children of the very age group we're talking about here are the group who are most likely to have and pass on the virus with the latest figures.
OK, Sarah, that's so useful. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Sarah Jarvis.